restore names, original names of universities renamed by a coup. This is coming from Mahama. Now, the flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has vowed to reverse the names President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo gave some public universities in the country if he is re-elected as president in the 2024 polls. Now, some public universities were renamed by the president when he assumed office. Now, for instance, the University for Development Studies, WA campus, was named after S.D. Dombo, that's Simon Diedong Dombo, a politician from the UP tradition. University is now Simon Diedong Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies in the Upper West region, and the C.K. Tadam University of Technology and Applied Sciences in the Upper East region. Now, President Akufo-Addo in 2018 also renamed the University of Mines and Technology, UMAT, to the George Grant University of Mines and Technology. Now, addressing party supporters, chiefs, and students at Zoarungo in the Upper East region, the NDC flag bearer lashed out at the New Patriotic Party government for renaming universities constructed by the NDC government after their heroes. He wondered why the MPP government, which has not built any universities in the country, kept renaming existing ones. And the story goes on. Mr. Mahama emphasized the need to rename libraries, hostels, and administration blocks after people, insisting that the names of public universities should reflect their core mandate. And let me just say what he meant by that. He says here, but if the university, and I read at the bottom of the story, if the university is the University for Development Studies, that's the core mandate. It should be called Universities for Development Studies. All right, so let me come back to you, Mr. Thompson.
You see, I did my national service at the University of Winneba, the Kumasi campus. You know, so one time I was in Kumasi, I started to pass through. Then I saw a signboard, I contain something, Minka School of something. I said, what is it? Why they sold the school? So I even thought they have sold the school to a private person. Then I went, he said, the University of Winneba, the Kumasi campus, which was a school, which was a skill school purposely to train people in technology, in skills and other.
Yeah.
Has been renamed to somebody called
Minka.
Who is he? Who is that guy? And what is his role in this country? You see, the mediocrity, the lameness, the thoughtlessness, you know, sometimes that has characterized this Akufo-Addo regime. It's something, if you give us 10 years, we can't even describe it. Otherwise, how do you wake up one day and start naming education institutions? You know, people go to these schools.
What's wrong with renaming education institutions? Exactly. What's wrong with it?
So let me tell you what is wrong. You know the time Harvard was built? University of Cambridge. You know when it was built?
Over 100
These
years
schools
ago.
are hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
Have they changed their names? Have they changed their names? I'm coming. There's a reason why people go to these schools. They are being issued a certificate, right? The certificate that you present tomorrow, you go and present a certificate somewhere, and nobody can find any school called University of Winneba, University of Development Studies.
Yeah, but that's dealt with by law. If
you take your degree to America, who is coming to America? Who is coming to
Ghana?
Yeah, but nobody knows
University of Winneba in America anyway.
Yeah. Who told you? Who told you?
And if
are there no graduates of university who have presented their certificates and are doing postgraduate courses outside in university outside the country?
If your argument is
don't take my time. Let me make my point.
Argument is worth what it's saying. Then they would have done their due diligence and know that it's the same university.
I'm saying that you don't have to put Ghanaian students through this. If you want to build a credible, long-lasting institutions, you need to learn from the people who have done it. That's the point I'm making.
But the people who did it named it after people.
But alongside, don't name it after ridiculous people.
What do you mean by ridiculous?
Who is this Kenten guy? Who is he? Who is what is the SD Dombo? Who is he? Who is SD Dombo? Who is he? And then they said they're going to name University of Ghana after JB Dankwa, after somebody who died in prison. You want to name the Premier University of Ghana after somebody who died in prison.
You are reducing the argument into ridiculous.
Who is JB Dankwa? Who is JB Dankwa? Who is he? And what is his role in Ghana? What is his contribution to this country? That you want to name a whole Premier University after JB Dankwa?
And what's wrong with that?
A guy who died in prison.
So what if he died in prison?
See.
So what if he died in prison? I don't understand your argument.
My argument is that
yes,
people who are deserving of naming institutions after, people who are deserving of naming people, might have been people who have immense contribution to this country, like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and not JB Dankwa.
But he's also, well, he was also in prison.
But at the end
so
of
what's
the
your
day,
argument?
But at the end of the day,
Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is named. No. You're making an argument that doesn't sit well with me.
If it doesn't sit well with you, that's my opinion. So allow me to make my point.
Okay, so then do it based on Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, named after a president who was also in prison.
If you don't interrupt me, you understand.
No, continue.
I have made 2 points. One, the changing of the names of the institutions is wrong.
Why?
Because you can't flip-flop in our education institutions.
How is that affecting your education? It's a name.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
Are you saying that the flip-flopping of the names of the academic institutions has no impact on the credibility of the institution? Is that the point you are making? Are you saying that it is not in any way going to affect the institution?
How does it impact the credibility of the institution?
How does it affect when people have built institutions for 100 years and have not dared to change their names? And you think that you can sit in Ghana in your 2x4 institutions, which you are struggling.
So your argument,
struggling to fund the institution.
So your argument is that if nobody has changed their name, nobody can therefore change.
Can you allow me to make my point? See, the point I'm making may not sit well with you. You may not like it, but that's my opinion. So allow me to make my opinion. The point I'm making is that these institutions, we are struggling to build world-class institutions in this country. The least we want to do is flip-flopping between the names of the institutions. And today it is called this, tomorrow it is called that. We don't know what name we want to give to institutions. And we should stop naming the institutions after ridiculous people. In fact, the whole name change is ridiculous.
I don't think I'll give you any more time on this matter because you see, if you don't know Akentena Piamenka, first of all, he was a Ghanaian lawyer, he was a politician, okay, he was a respected statesman and a businessman. If you say he's a ridiculous person, I cannot. That's what you said. You said ridiculous people. You sat here and said ridiculous people. Mensa Thompson. So you sat here and said, and then Chief Dongo, you called him a ridiculous person.
So allow me to make okay. Let me correct that. The point I'm trying to make, I'm not saying these people are ridiculous people. I'm saying the name change is ridiculous. Naming these institutions after these people is ridiculous. You cannot flip-flop between names of institutions. You cannot flip-flop that. And we've done that with the educational system. Today is 3 years, tomorrow is 4 years, today is how many years, and we are doing the same thing with education names. So the point I'm making is that
make it and let's go.
Let us leave these institutions alone. And we support the call for all these names to be reversed.
Fair enough.
We support the call.
Thank you.
And let us not misconstrue the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
I am not saying that these people are not relevant. That's not the point I'm trying to make. Okay. The point I'm making is that these people, whatever role they have played, can be honored in other ways rather than flip-flopping with our educational institutions.
Fair enough. Thank you.
And the fact that you want to go and name our premier university after JB Dankwa,
you've made your point. Thank you.
For me, it's the worst of all the crimes that will happen to this country.
All right. Thank you very much. Kabutey.
Right. I think there's more to it than just writing for the institution a new name. I respectfully, let me say that I'm sure those who also are changing have their reasons. And so I'm just trying to put it clear, which we should accept that there's more to it than just putting a name on that institution and then expecting that people just write it. And I'll tell you what. The first one, communicating to relaunch the new name. You need to communicate to other institutions, your partners, about you are changing the name, writing letters to them, and then publishing, that you are actually changing the name of the institution. That is one. The cost implication of having to change that new name, the documentation. that means the documents that bore the old name will become irrelevant. You can have a way of letting people know that you will be using such for some time to phase those ones out. But at the right go, the painting. If you change the name Citi, automatically, your boards must change.
Yeah, everything must change.
Okay,
yeah.
so you are at least, let me give a good example so people can, I'm not saying they don't know, but just to remind people. For example, you are changing from Barclays to ABSA. You saw everything else, rebranding and everything else. That's what we are talking about.
There's a cost involved. Yeah.
There's a cost implication. Okay, you're going to be printing new letterheads and all these going to website to everything else.
Prospectus, everything has to change.
I'm loving you for this one. That's the cost implication. This is a country that is looking for the VAT, 15% VAT on my electricity tariff. This is a country where we're talking about e-levy. You see, let me tell you one thing. When I spoke to you about cutting down waste, cutting down expenditure in our early discussion. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Is that the need right now when 13 people died because they couldn't have access to dialysis? Your interest is to go and whoop in more cost by changing the name of a university? My dear brother, you see, in economics, when you are choosing your priorities, setting your targets, you need to have a little seriousness. With all due respect to everybody else who is doing this one. When you set your priorities, set them right. Okay, the cost implications are another thing. The next thing is the conflicts and the complications with admissions. I have a friend, because of a change of the name of a university, UMAC, this GIJ to UMAC. When she actually applied to a university, they had to tell her to write to the school, and the school to give her a letter. All these ones also drops in. Okay, so have you thought of those ones as well? Let's move forward. The politicization of the name selection. That is the biggest deal. I mean, you want to look at the names that have been chosen. They belong to one political grouping.
Tradition.
You see, you don't do this. You don't. And I repeat it, you don't. Look, Nico Joboni, a chief, walked the streets of Accra for our independence. Sergeant Ajete stood in front of bullets and took a bullet for this country.
Institution after him.
You think?
24
And you know the funny thing? He didn't even enjoy your university education. But he died for all of you. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine?
After JB Dankwa.
Kojoboni, Ajete,
She tried that.
they are there. They lay in their graves. And you come here. Look, well, you can take me by the tribal stance. But I'm telling you, my chief, Nico Joboni, lay in his grave. You didn't see him. Important to name UG after him. Look, let me tell you what. There are tribal connotations, there are religious connotations. We don't have any priest. When you are selecting the name, be very careful. The next one is the effects on old students. There are interest groups. The students in there will be affected, but especially the old students. I mean, I sit here, and when you mention my university or my school I attended, it affects me. I also, the old students also give. Yeah. They're the ones who contribute a lot. Yeah. There's somebody who gives to UG. They carry their pride along. And you want to change their name, did you consult all of them? That's another problem. Look, even where it is important to change some of these names, even where it is important, some of the universities were built and, you thought maybe it's time to, change the name. All students, the school authorities. Look, I heard some of even the vice chancellor making a comment around it. So listen to everybody's comment.
Old name?
University of Ghana.
What is wrong with the name University of Ghana?
I mean, University of Development Studies.
What is wrong with it?
Are we not going to? if you wanted to add a first name to it.
University of Mines and Technology.
Even if you wanted to add a first name to it, maybe you want to say Kojoboni University of Mines and Technology. That makes it up. Don't change everything like that. Just put everything on that. Look, and let's stay on this name thing. Let me run away from the university a little bit. We are confused. I see Kotoka International Airport, and I'm like, a coup maker.
You put
the name of a coup maker on your airport. You put the name of a coup maker, the very first person who turned the destiny of this country around in the bad direction. You put his name on an international airport. That's how we were confused from day one. From day one, we were confused. You put the name of an international airport, the very entry to a country, the first point of entry to a coup maker. Tell me the credits of Kotoka. Just outline the credits of Kotoka because it was the first coup maker. He overthrew an elected government. That is his credit.
But that's their hatred for Kwame Nkrumah.
No, but that is his
Their
credit.
hatred for Kwame
So you
Nkrumah.
see, if it must be done,
To the extent that they
then
will
it must be
the
done
person who
well.
removed him from office.
If we are going to rename universities, let's do them well. Let's allow people to make inputs and ensure that these persons that we are choosing, like I say, for example, I'm not the wisest man here. I'm just saying, if I mention Sergeant Ajete,
Yeah.
I'm mentioning him for his contribution to that fight for independence that you and I, others have labored, and we are sharing their glory.
Yeah.
He went ahead. He knew. You think he didn't know that there was a risk that Major Emery would shoot him? He knew. But he said, look, I must go. Somebody will stay to continue. And if you are naming anything after him, you name it, and then you go and look at it and look through the history. What he did for the country, how his name got stuck into the history, and then why you are naming the university about him. That is what I think we should do.
All right.
Even if we have to do.